we're back. I hope you're at least entertained. So this time we are going to talk about personality in life. Boom. And like actually apply stuff. So welcome back. We are really close to being done with this module. We've got 7 slides left, including this one, which is just like the transition. Okay. So, personality in life. Personality affects and predicts important life outcomes. It does. So like health, well-being, relationship quality, career success, and similar things like that. It matters. It does. Shocking. I know that someone who studies important life outcomes and uses personality to predict them would tell you that personality is predictive of important life outcomes. So yeah, personality is more than just this fun theory that personality psychologists study. It affects and predicts your life outcomes. And over time, how you act, kind of those behaviors accumulate. So, and you'll see this in a lot of my work where there's only small predictions for health at age 40, like in its relationship with conscientiousness and intelligence. But at age 50, here's how I like to describe it. I like to describe it as all your bad choices have finally caught up with you. Obviously, it's more nuanced than that, but over time, the choices and behaviors you do, like if over time they add up. So if you always wear your mask, so you're fairly conscientious, over time, that means you are less likely to have, transmitted coronavirus to other people or to your loved ones and self, because masks also protect you, but only if you cover your mouth and nose, both of them. Cool. So yeah, I realize that's a weird PSA to like put in your video, but like having a loose mask, have it flop around, it's better than no mask, but the little things you do add up. So here's a giant screenshot of one of the tables, 4.7, to highlight the different kinds of consequential outcomes the big 5 personality traits have. So it's broken down by individual outcomes, so things that are like just like you. So extroversion is associated with your own individual happiness, but it's also associated with interpersonal outcomes, like pure acceptance, success in dating and relationships, so like how you interact with others. And third, it's also related to institutional outcomes, so things like that are in your broader community, occupational satisfaction, community involvement, leadership, whatnot. Now I am going to like formally define these just so you have them, but I encourage you to look at this table to get a good sense of like the scope of these traits. So like individual outcome, I guess my notes literally just tell you. Yeah, so individual outcomes are like happiness, subjective well-being, spirituality, virtues, physical health, longevity, self-care, identity, so stuff that affects you as one person. Interpersonal affects you in relationships with others, so peer, family, romantic relationships, while the social/institutional outcomes like occupational choice and performance, political attitudes, values, volunteerism, community involvement, even criminality, all are your relationship with a broader community. So you as an individual, you with one other, like very small, like one-on-ones, you more broadly. Cool. So I'm not going to read you all of these, but I really encourage you to look at them to get a sense of the scope and breadth of what personality can predict. Okay, so we're wrapping up on person versus situation. So personality traits are better at describing how people act in general, like broadly. So like not any one individual snapshot, but your general tendency. And this applies to relationships, jobs, and business, like you saw on the table. Now, you will act somewhat differently with each person, so like there is an interaction there, like from like you behave differently. But still the general tendencies are there. So like conscientiousness predicts citizenship performance. And what do I mean by citizenship performance? Like employees promoting the goals of the organization for which they work, or like the group they belong. It's not just like your job. So like fraternity membership, sorority membership, stuff like that. The sports team, so like your community. Now, so that kind of citizenship performance can kind of generalize. So corporate CEOs will borrow money, both borrow more money for companies as well as like also for their personal homes. Like, so those that buy more in one situation will buy more in another. Like, so this is cross-situational like consistency. Like, they're doing similar things. It's not the exact, like, you borrow way more money for a company than you for yourself, but like the relative differences is what's key here. Also, I don't remember if I've made a comment about this, but all of the icons, like all the visuals, are the defaults that Microsoft's cool machine learning algorithm have scraped from other people's PowerPoints. Like, so this is what the computer thinks is the best, like has predicted is the most relevant slide, like most relevant icon. This guy. That's where the winky mustachio man comes in. I think he's synced with personality. Yeah, I don't know how they work exactly. I have some basic ideas. It's probably natural language processing plus like some other stuff. But fun facts. Okay, I'm almost done, I swear. So, interactionism. This is the idea that the effect of a personality variable may depend on the situation, or vice versa. It's the view that persons and situations are constantly interacting with each other to produce behavior. The idea is like they're conditioned on each other. So like you do X when Y. Like high extroverted people who are at parties do this. High extroversion people at some so they play together. So certain types of people will go and find themselves in different kinds of situations. They will also like change the situations they go into. So for example, in the prison experiment, not all the guards were equally abusive, nor were all the prisoners equally subservient. So certain kinds of people also might have signed up for the study to be the guard versus to be the prisoner. And you could leave. I almost said some people left. I'm not 100% sure on that. But people do things differently. Shocking, I know. Okay, so here's the last 2 slides, I swear. There's a situationalist view of human behavior, kind of linking this a little to philosophy. Situationalist view of human behavior is that people are free to do whatever they want, that everyone is equal, and that differences are entirely a function of the situation. But the argument here is like that if the situation is really all powerful, then nothing we ever do is really our fault. So that's the one extreme. And so this is kind of in contrast to the belief that some people, based on their traits, are more likely to have bad outcomes, that there are differences. So personality's view of human nature. Behavior is determined by personality. People can develop consistent identities and styles that allow them to be themselves across situations. So people are not free to do whatever they want. Some people have, but like the personality influences their general tendencies. So yeah, let's kind of resolve this little. I mean, obviously I can't like be like, oh, we solved the debate, we're done. Because we're not, it's worth studying and talking about. So people maintain their personalities even as they adapt their behavior to different situations. Like imagine how talkative you'll be like in a classroom before the professor gets there versus after the situation has changed. The most extroverted of you might still keep talking because that's, while the least extroverted will be like, okay, let's And same with conscientiousness. That can also interact with extroversion. Like if you're high extroversion, low conscientiousness, you're way more likely to keep talking. But if you're high extroversion and high conscientiousness, you're probably less likely to keep talking. But yeah, so people are flexible in how they adapt to situations, and are also still genuinely consistent. So kind of they're both right is what I like. Anytime there's like a debate on one like monolith versus another monolith, it's probably somewhere in the middle. We're gonna have more of these like nurture versus nature, culture versus like the individual, stuff like it's never one of the extremes. It's usually somewhere in the middle. If there's like actual like meaningful debate, not like kind of what's the word? Not facilitate controversies, like just like that's manufactured controversy, like with climate change. There's no debate. Not like maybe on the degree of which it is, but not like whether it's happening or not. That like so there's a difference in like if you have two reasonable level like categories of argument, then it's usually somewhere in the middle. So here's the kind of takeaway, that people are psychologically different from one another. These differences matter, but that the situation also influences how those differences manifest themselves. So, person and situation. You need both. Okay, so that is it for this entire module. I'm going to be slicing it up into a couple of pieces, but this is the last piece. Thanks for watching. I'm going to edit and try and upload this as quick as possible so you can kind of have the 3 chunks of material. And thanks for watching. You'll see me in the next video.